I'm joined by Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Congresswoman, thank you for joining us. You heard President Zelenskyy's plea today, speaking to all 535 members of Congress. In your view, is the U.S. doing enough to help him?
Well, it's certainly a good start, and I will tell you this morning during President Zelenskyy's address, there was not a dry eye in the House. His story was compelling. The Ukrainian people and the president of Ukraine fighting for freedom and democracy, all things that Americans cherish here at home. And what we've done so far with the sanctions are a great start, but there's more to be done. He asked us to have broader sanction packages. He's asked for humanitarian aid moving forward and more defense equipment so they can defend themselves against this illegal, unjust, incomprehensible, unexplainable invasion of Ukraine. I just heard on your program earlier a few moments ago that innocent civilians in Ukraine gunned down. They were in line waiting for bread. These are women and children, and it's disgusting to see the war crimes that are happening before us in real time.
Okay, you mentioned some of his wish list that he wants from the United States to support. President Biden sent some of that to him today and to the Ukrainian armed forces. But what he really wants is a no-fly zone. Again today, asking Congress to help him do that. Today, the president again refused to give him that no-fly zone that he's been asking for. Can Congress force his hand? Do you think Congress should force President Biden's hand on this?
It's easier said than done, and I would like politicians to stop tweeting out to shut the skies over Ukraine, because it's much more complicated than that. It's going to take more than a dozen or 2 dozen MiG planes to do that, and what we're not talking about is that Russia has an S-400 surface-to-air missile situated on the border of Ukraine and Belarus that can hit anything within a 200-mile radius. And then on top of that, it's going to take hundreds of jets, hundreds of planes, F-35s and F-22s to close and shut down the airspace over Ukraine. And if we do that, it will be seen as an escalation of war. It will be World War III. It will mean nuclear war. And so there are non-kinetic and non-military ways that we can continue to put a chokehold over Putin and his war crimes and the war regime that he has by isolating them economically and by every means measurable. And that means companies here in the U.S. and abroad should stop doing any business whatsoever with Russia. Shut it down. That has been very effective and will continue to be effective at least over the next few days and weeks. And let's see where that stands and where we go from there. And then, think about other decisions, other things we can do. The humanitarian aid that is needed for those who are trying to escape is greatly needed right now as well.
Right, and that was part of the $14 billion you and your colleagues in Congress passed last week. And I want to ask you, President Zelenskyy sort of appealed to our better natures, what we believe the best in ourselves are today, evoking the cause of freedom. He also made a plea for more leadership from President Biden. Here's what he said.
I'm addressing the President Biden. You are the leader of the nation, of your great nation. I wish you to be the leader of the world. Being the leader of the world means to be the leader of peace.
A remarkable statement delivered in English at the end of his address. How do you judge President Biden's leadership so far in this war, Congresswoman?
Well, President Biden had to be pressured numerous times by Democrats and Republicans alike to turn off the switch of imports of Russian oil and gas. It's going to take us coming together to put pressure on the Biden administration to take the next steps and do the right thing. We have been leading from behind, but I also want to encourage the president to listen to both sides. There are Democrats and Republicans that are urging more sanctions faster, broader right now to put an end to this thing and suffocate Vladimir Putin. And we can do that, and we need to continue to do that by putting bipartisan pressure on the White House.
Okay, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, you were there listening to President Zelenskyy with your colleagues, all 535 of them, today in the Capitol. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.